Good morning, children. Today, our new lesson is lesson number 2, microorganisms, friends and foe. So, in this lesson, we are going to study about what is meant by microorganism and how they are helpful to us and how they are foe to us. Foe means its enemy. So, how the microorganisms are helpful to us and how the microorganisms are harmful to us. So, in this lesson, we are going to study about this. First, let's see what is the meaning of microorganism. What is the meaning of microorganism is, in this nature there are different kind of organisms are present or different sized organisms are present. Okay, some of the organisms are very big, which we can see with our naked eye. Some of the organisms, they are very small, which we cannot see with our naked eye. So the organisms which we cannot see with our naked eye, such type of organisms are known as microorganism or microbe. So for seeing these microorganisms, we require a microscope. Without microscope, with our naked eye, we cannot see these microorganisms. Okay, so examples of microorganisms is like amoeba, paramecium, fungi. All these organisms with our naked eye we cannot see. These are some of the examples of the microorganisms. Okay, so once again I am repeating, what is microorganism is a organism which cannot be seen by naked eye is called microorganism or microbe. We need a microscope to see a microbe. So now coming to the classification or types of microorganisms. What are the types of microorganisms is, microorganisms are divided into bacteria, algae, fungi, protozoa. These are the types of classes, 4 classes: bacteria, algae, fungi and protozoa. Okay, so virus, we all know virus is not included in the group or it is not included in any of the class of microorganism. What is the reason? We will see later. First, let's see bacteria. Bacteria are common microscopic organisms. So bacteria are microscopic organisms which have cell walls but do not have nucleus. Some bacteria are autotrophs but most are heterotrophs. That means if we see in bacteria will contain cell wall but nucleus is absent in this bacteria. And some of the bacteria, that means the mode of nutrition in bacteria is it will perform photosynthesis. That means some of them are autotrophic. At the same time, some of them are heterotrophs also. Okay, at the same time, bacteria are found in different shapes. There is no one particular shape for bacteria. Bacteria is found in different shapes, like they are found in rod shape, spiral, comma shape. Different shapes are present in bacteria. Examples of the bacteria are Rhizobium, E. coli, Pseudomonas, Streptococcus, etc. These are some of the examples of bacteria. Now coming to the algae. Algae are green plants which are of simple in structure. Like if you see in some of the places like where the water is deposited, aquatic plants. Okay, there we can, not plants, aquatic places where the stagnant water is deposited. In that places we can see small green color organisms are growing. What is this green color organisms is? This green color organisms are algae. So this algae, they are green plants with simple structure will be there. There will be no any complex structure, simple structure, and the cell of algae contains cell wall and chloroplast also. But in case of bacteria, if it is autotrophic, then only chloroplast is present. If they are heterotrophs, chloroplast is absent, cell wall is present and nucleus is absent in bacteria. Coming to algae's case, it contains cell wall and chloroplast also. Okay, so coming to mode of nutrition, in bacteria mode of nutrition is autotrophs and some of them are heterotrophs. But coming to algae are autotrophs only, and some of the algae, not all the algae, some of the algae are microscopic. Example of algae are Chlamydomonas, Spirogyra, etc. are examples of this algae. Our next class is fungi. Fungi will have cell wall and nucleus. So bacteria will contain cell wall, nucleus is absent in bacteria. Algae will contain cell wall and chloroplast also present, nucleus is absent. But coming to the fungus case, it contains cell wall and nucleus, but chloroplast is absent in case of fungi case. Then mode of nutrition in bacteria is they are autotrophs and heterotrophs. Coming to algae, they are autotrophs. At the same time, coming to fungi, they are saprotrophs. That means they are saprophytic mode of, I think we all knows that saprophytic mode of nutrition. What is meant by saprophytic mode of nutrition means, if we see some of the on the bread mold, on the bread, okay, if we see some of the white, some colored structures will grow. What is that? That is known as bread molds. Okay, not only that, in the remains of the rice, no, when we cook it and when it is remained after, if we store it for some days, after that we can see some colored structures are growing on that rice, cooked rice. Okay, so what is that? That is also fungus. So this fungus, cell wall is present, nucleus is present, but chloroplast is absent, and they are saprophytic. That means they will feed on the dead remains of plants and animals. Fungi also microscopic, except, here exception is there, okay, except mushrooms. Mushroom also fungi only, okay. Mushroom is macroscopic, we can see with our naked eye, okay. So except mushroom, all the fungus, remaining all the fungi are microscopic. Example of fungi are yeast, rhizopus, aspergillus, penicillium. Rhizopus means it is bread mold, okay. Our next class is protozoa. So protozoa do not have cell wall, chloroplast, but they have nucleus, same like fungi, okay. Fungi also will contain cell wall, chloroplast is absent, and nucleus. Protozoa also, okay, protozoa, it will not contain cell wall, but it contains nucleus, okay. Examples of this protozoa are amoeba and protozoa, plasmodium are examples of this protozoa, okay. So this is the classification, or these are the classes of microorganisms. Now coming to our next is virus. You may get the doubt, virus also microscopic, but why they are not included in the classes or in separate class? What is the reason is, see, all the microorganisms, they are living organisms only, either bacteria or algae, fungi, protozoa. All these four classes are living organisms only. But coming to the virus we cannot consider it as living organism, or we cannot consider it as non-living organism. That means it is like the borderline between living and non-living organisms, living and non-living things. How can it be? Means, you see, when it is living in the host cell. So this virus case, virus, when it is living in the host cell, it is living thing. But once when it is out of the host cell, it is non-living thing. That means, you see, in the when this microorganism is present in the air, it behaves like a non-living thing. That means it will not perform any of the life process like respiration, reproduction, like these things, like this life process. It will not perform any of the life process. But once when this virus enters into the host cell, it performs respiration, reproduction, and nutrition. All these things, all this life process, it will be all these life things it will perform, and it can be considered as a living thing. That's why, so it is considered as the borderline between living things and non-living things, and it is not included in the any of the classes. Examples of this virus are HIV virus, TMV virus, that means tobacco mosaic virus, etc. are examples of the microorganisms. This is the classification of the microorganisms, okay. Once again I am saying, types of microorganisms are bacteria, algae, fungi, protozoa. These are the four types, not virus, okay. Virus is not included, only bacteria, algae, fungi, and protozoa. These are the four types of microorganisms. So here we can see the different structures of different microorganisms. Like these two are structures of algae, this is the structure of protozoa, and this is the structure of fungi, okay. So Euglena, example of algae. Next, Chlamydomonas, example of algae. Paramecium, example of protozoa. Amoeba, example of protozoa. Example of fungi, that is Rhizopus, bread mold. Here This is the structures. Once again I am showing you structures of different microorganisms: algae, protozoa and fungi. Next topic is habitat of microorganisms. Coming to the habitat of microorganisms, microorganisms live almost everywhere on the earth. Okay, anywhere on this earth microorganisms will live. That means they are found in land, water and air also. Even they are found inside our body also. Some microorganisms found extremely in the very harsh conditions. That means it may be too much hot or too much cold. Example, craters of volcano and sulfur springs also they may live. That means these microorganisms will live everywhere on this earth. Now coming to these microorganisms, before we told starting of the lesson, they are friendly microorganisms. At the same time some of them are foe to us. Okay, so let's see friendly microorganisms, how they are friendly microorganisms. Like see some examples. So we all know milk converts into the curd. How it will converts into the curd is, in the milk it contains a bacteria called lactobacillus bacteria, which is a microorganism. It converts the milk into the curd. If the lactobacillus is absent in milk, milk will not convert into the curd. Not only that, we can see different food items, it will be fermented. So without that fermentation, that food will be not good, it will be spoiled. So for this fermentation, one bacteria or one microorganism is required. What is that microorganism is? It is yeast. Okay, yeast is the microorganism which causes fermentation in many of the foods. Okay, so what is fermentation is the process by which sugar solution changes into alcohol due to anaerobic respiration by microbes is called fermentation. That means sugar solution, it will turns or it will changes into the alcohol due to anaerobic respiration. We studied there are two types of respiration. One is aerobic respiration and another one is anaerobic respiration. What is aerobic respiration and what is anaerobic respiration is, aerobic respiration means respiration which takes place or respiration which is carried in the presence of oxygen is known as aerobic respiration, and the type of respiration which does not involve oxygen or the respiration which is carried out in the absence of oxygen. That means oxygen is completely absent in that such mode of respiration or such type of respiration is known as anaerobic respiration. So this sugar solution changes into alcohol where due to anaerobic respiration by microorganisms. Okay, not aerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration by microbes is known as fermentation. And when this yeast is added to butter of cake, idli, the production of carbon dioxide due to this respiration of yeast, this carbon dioxide gas creates bubbles in dough or batter which makes pulpy cakes, breads, idli and dosa. So not only that, fermentation also helps in production of alcohol from the fruit juice. From where this alcohol is produced means alcohol is produced from the fruit juice, sugarcane juice from the cereals. That means alcohol is produced from fruit juice or sugarcane juice or from the cereals. How it is produced means it is produced by the process called fermentation, and which helps the fermentation means microorganism yeast. Okay, so not only this, some more ways to say that these microbes are helpful to us is by production of the antibiotics. So what is antibiotic? Antibiotic is a substance which kills or stops the growth of bacteria is called antibiotic. Okay, so once again I am saying these antibiotics will work on the bacteria only. Okay, so antibiotic is a substance which kills or stop the growth of bacteria. Okay, it will not allow the bacteria to grow because it will kill or it will stop the growth of the bacteria. Such chemical substance or such substance is known as antibiotic. And who discovered antibiotic is Alexander Fleming in the year 1929. He discovered penicillin, which is an antibiotic. Okay, so antibiotic penicillin is discovered by Alexander Fleming in the year 1929. And during one of his experiments, Alexander Fleming observed that bacteria did not grow on culture where a fungus was present. Thus penicillin was prepared from a fungus Penicillium penicillin made it possible to treat many difficult diseases. Most of the modern antibiotics are derivatives of penicillin. So nowadays we are using different kind of antibiotics. All these antibiotics are derivatives of the penicillin. So this penicillin was discovered by Alexander Fleming in the year 1929. How he discovered means during his experiments. So he observed this bacteria does not grow. That means he is growing the microbes. That means the fungus, algae, everything he is growing. So where this fungus Penicillium notatum is growing, there he observed that this bacteria is not growing. So from the fungus Penicillium notatum, he made penicillium. That means he prepared penicillium to treat the difficult diseases. And some other examples of these antibiotics are tetracycline, norofloxacin, ciprofloxacin, doxycycline. These are the examples of these antibiotics. Okay, so our next topic is, let's move on. Our next topic, it is vaccine. So normally our body has ability to fight the diseases. Okay, so how we are getting that ability to fight the diseases means by in our body we know in the blood it contains red blood cells and white blood cells. Okay, so white blood cells function what? It will fight against the germs which enter into our body. So the defense mechanism of our body produces antibodies to fight against the disease causing microbe which may enter our body. While doing so, our body remembers to fight any future onslaught of that microbe. This concept was utilized to make vaccines against various diseases. A vaccine made by a weak or killed strain of disease causing microbe. When a vaccine is inoculated in the body prepares antibodies against it. Thus, the body learns and remembers how to fight with that microbe in future. Thus, vaccination helps in preventing against a particular diseases. Means, what it is saying means, see, when any microorganism or foreign particle enter into our body, so against to this foreign particle, our white blood cells produces antibodies. So these antibodies will fight with this foreign body and it will kill that. So in the case of vaccine, what will do means, here a weak or killed strain of disease causing microbe. So now I am inserting a disease causing microbe, okay, which is killed or which is weak. Such microorganism or such foreign body I will make it to enter into the body. When this vaccine is inoculated to the body, our body will produce antibodies and these antibodies will fight against it and already it is weakened or killed. So the antibodies which are produced, it is very easy to kill it. Now really when the real microorganism or when the real antigen enter into our body, these antibodies will fight against it and will kill that. So thus vaccination helps in preventing against a particular disease. So this vaccine was discovered by Edward Jenner in the year 1798. He discovered vaccine for the smallpox. He observed that people who are rearing cows did not suffer from smallpox. So this Edward Jenner, he observed that the persons who are rearing cows, they are not suffering with the smallpox. They are not affected with the smallpox. This observation led to the discovery of the vaccine for the smallpox. Now vaccines are available in market for many of the diseases like smallpox, tuberculosis, polio, tetanus, diphtheria, whooping cough, hepatitis, etc. These are some of the diseases caused, and for all these diseases we are having nowadays vaccine. So next is polio, pulse polio. Okay, polio is a viral disease. It is caused by virus which damages the nerves in the spine. This results in weak muscles and paralysis, especially in the legs. So we can see that a person who is affected with polio, we can see him majorly on the part affected is legs, especially part affected is legs. Okay, so polio is also called infantile paralysis. Polio vaccine can prevent these diseases. Okay, so for preventing the, you see now, if a person is suffering from polio, we can see majorly affected part will be the legs. Okay, for preventing this polio can be prevented by giving a vaccine. Okay, so this pulse polio is a large scale program to eradicate polio from India. This program is being run by the United Nations in coordination with the government of India. All children under 5 years of age are given polio drops under this program. Pulse polio has been successfully against eradication of polio. So polio is one of the major diseases, or polio is the one of the disease which can be fighted by vaccination. Okay, so during children of age from birth to the 5 years age, so 5 years of age, every child is given polio drops. That means polio vaccine is given to fight against the polio. So not only by the diseases, fighting against the diseases, so microorganisms also help in increasing the soil fertility. How they will increase is, blue-green algae fix atmospheric nitrogen in the soil. So we know rhizobium bacteria, where this rhizobium bacteria is present is, rhizobium bacteria live in the root nodules of leguminous plants. So the rhizobium bacteria which is present in the root nodules, it will fix the atmospheric nitrogen into the soil, and plants which are growing in this soil, it will absorb that nitrogen, and nitrogen is one of the nutrient, it will grow properly. So this blue-green algae, if this blue-green algae is absent, or this microorganism is absent, that means nitrogen will be not fixed, so plant growth will be improper. So for increasing the soil fertility, these microbes are helping. Not only that, for cleaning the environment also. Okay, microorganisms help in cleaning the environment. How they will help means, many of the microorganisms will feed on the dead remains of the plants and animals. Okay, these microorganisms play role of decomposers. Microbes help in cleaning organic waste from our surroundings. Dead cattle waste from meat and fish waste from vegetable market, etc., decomposed because of microorganisms. That means, so we are having so much waste material. All this waste is decomposed by these microorganisms. If this microorganisms is not there, means all the dead remains of the plants and animals and all the waste, it will remain at the same place only, causing so many of the diseases. All this waste is decomposed by the microorganisms and help in cleaning the environment. Okay, so let's see, till now we studied the usefulness of microorganisms. Now let's see harmfulness of microorganisms. So let's see the harmfulness of these microorganisms. So microorganisms are not only useful, they will cause harm also to us. Like some of the diseases, it will spread from one person to the another person. Such type of diseases are known as communicable diseases. So what is communicable disease? A disease which can be spread from one person to another person is called communicable diseases or communicable disease. So not only communicable disease, infectious disease also are there. That is, the disease which is caused by microorganisms, it is known as infectious disease. Next, pathogen. What is meant by pathogen is, a microbe which causes disease is called pathogen, and some of the pathogens are described below. So here table is there, that is pathogen, disease caused by the pathogen, and mode of the transmission. So pathogen is Plasmodium. Plasmodium causes malaria, and the mode of transmission is, it is spread through this, malaria is spread through the bite of female Anopheles mosquito. Okay, next is dengue virus. It is caused by the disease caused by this dengue virus is dengue fever, and mode of transmission is it spreads through the Aedes mosquito. Okay, malaria is through female Anopheles mosquito, and dengue fever is Aedes mosquito. Okay, our next pathogen is common cold virus. The disease caused by this common cold virus is common cold, and the mode of transmission is, it may be through air. When someone cough or sneeze, what will happen? The virus which is present in them, it will be spreaded to the another healthy person also. So this is the table showing that pathogen, disease caused by that pathogen, and mode of transmission, and this is some of them only, okay, not all, some of them only. Now how to prevent malaria and dengue fever? Malaria and dengue spread through the mosquitoes, okay. Malaria is spread through the female Anopheles mosquito and dengue is spread through the Aedes mosquito. So malaria and dengue are spread through the mosquitoes. So in our surroundings, breeding of mosquitoes should be prevented, and don't allow the water to stagnate in our surroundings because mosquitoes lay eggs in stagnant water. Frequently clean the water in the cooler. Keep the overhead tanks covered. Keep the drains properly covered. Fill any ditch with sand or soil. Use mosquito repellent creams and mosquito nets to prevent the mosquito bite. So this is some of the this is some of the disease caused by microorganisms in humans. Now let's see some of the disease caused by microorganisms in plants. Example is, again I am having a table, microorganism, disease caused by microorganism, and mode of transmission. Okay, so I will take here bacteria. Bacteria causes diseases like citrus canker, and the mode of transmission is by air. And fungi causes rust of wheat, mode of transmission is air and seeds. Virus causes yellow vein mosaic of okra, and mode of transmission is insects. So these are some of the plant diseases caused by microbes, and these are some of the diseases caused by microorganisms in humans. Like, so the diseases caused by microorganisms in humans are malaria, dengue, common cold, etc. Okay, not only these three, some more are there, but these are some of the examples. 3. Again, coming to diseases caused by plants, some of them are citrus canker, rust of wheat, yellow vein mosaic of okra. So till now we studied diseases caused by microorganisms in humans and plants. Now let's see not only disease caused, so this microorganism, it will spoil the food. How they will spoil means, that is called food poisoning. Some bacteria produce a toxic substance in the food. Consuming food item with toxic substance can result in food poisoning. Okay, see, some bacteria will grow on the food and it will produce some toxic food toxic substance in the food and make that food poisoning. Okay, so food poisoning, it is a serious case and it needs immediate hospitalization. Lack of timely care in case of food poisoning may prove fatal. So when the food is poisoned, so a person will be hospitalized. So immediately it requires the person to be hospitalized and needs timely care. Okay.